A Roman general stands before thousands of soldiers being transferred away from his command. Instead of letting them go, he reaches into his own pocket and pays every single one of them a full year's wages. This wasn't charity, it was the most brilliant political investment in ancient history. That general was Julius Caesar. This moment reveals how one man figured out how to buy an empire. To understand why Caesar's payment mattered, we need to understand how Roman society actually worked, and it all comes down to one word: patronage. Rome wasn't a democracy of individuals, it was a web of obligations. Wealthy patrons provided protection, legal help, and economic support to their clients. In return, clients gave loyalty, political support, and public honor. This wasn't optional. It was how Roman society functioned. But here's the problem. Millions of poor Romans had no patron at all. They existed outside this system entirely. They had no protector, no advocate, no place in the power structure. Caesar came from a prestigious but not wealthy family. He couldn't compete with Rome's richest men on their terms, so he invented new terms. His genius positioned himself as patron to the patronless masses. While other aristocrats fought over existing clients, Caesar offered protection to those who had none: soldiers, urban poor, provincial populations. The legion payment example shows this perfectly. When the Senate transferred his troops to another general in Syria, Caesar paid each soldier a full year's wages from his own funds, 5,000 men per legion. This purchased something money couldn't normally buy: loyalty that transcended official command structures. Those soldiers now owed Caesar personally, not Rome. After seizing power, Caesar continued this pattern. He mitigated debts for struggling citizens. He championed land reform. He positioned himself as the one man standing between the common people and aristocratic exploitation. This made him dangerous. On March 15, 44 BCE, senators who feared his growing power stabbed him to death in the Senate chamber. They thought they were saving the Republic. They were wrong. Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, emerged from the chaos. He defeated rivals, including Mark Antony and Cleopatra. By 27 BCE, he had become something new. Here's where it gets clever. Octavian, now called Augustus, didn't declare himself king. Romans hated kings. They'd expelled their last king 5 centuries earlier. Instead, Augustus pulled off the greatest political magic trick in history. He claimed he transferred the republic from my power to the dominion of the Senate and the people of Rome. In reality, he controlled the Senate, commanded all armies, and held ultimate authority, but he never used the word king. He called himself first citizen. He maintained every appearance of republican government while holding absolute power behind the scenes. Augustus's masterstroke, positioning himself as paterfamilias, father of the household, for the entire empire. In Roman law, the paterfamilias held absolute authority over everyone in his household. Children, slaves, even adult sons fell under his power. Augustus scaled this concept to millions. Every Roman was now, in effect, his client. He was patron to an empire. The old aristocratic competition for clients became irrelevant when one man claimed them all. This is how Rome transformed from a republic of competing aristocrats into an empire ruled by one man. Not through declaring kingship, but through becoming everyone's father. How did Rome actually govern this vast empire? Through a system that explains why certain people in the Gospels were so despised. Rome didn't collect taxes directly. Instead, they sold tax franchises. Local elites bid at auction for the right to collect taxes in a region. The winner guaranteed Rome a set amount, say 1 million denarii. Then they collected from the population. Here's the key. They kept everything above that guaranteed amount as profit. Rome didn't care how much the collectors actually charged. If you guaranteed Rome 1 million, but extracted 2 million from the population, that extra million was yours. This is why tax collectors and sinners were grouped together in Jewish society. Tax collectors weren't just government employees, they were legalized extortionists with every incentive to overcharge. Beyond taxation, Rome governed through selective control. They left local customs, religions, and governance largely intact. They destroyed communities only when necessary to maintain order. This created something unprecedented, an empire spanning 3 continents with relative religious tolerance. As long as you didn't threaten Roman authority, you could worship whatever gods you chose. Jews maintained their temple, Greeks kept their philosophers, local cults continued undisturbed. Rome cared about taxes and order, and they didn't care what you believed, a policy that would prove significant for a small Jewish sect. Rome built infrastructure for military control, not cultural exchange. But that infrastructure had unintended consequences. Roman roads allowed soldiers to march 30 kilometers daily in full pack. Mail relays covered 100 kilometers per day, though only for official use. The Mediterranean, once plagued by pirates, was cleared under Pompey and became the empire's highway. Sea travel remained fastest. The Apostle Paul preferred sailing when possible. It cut journey times dramatically. The empire was also bilingual. Latin dominated the West, Greek the East. Thanks to Alexander's earlier conquests, Greek served as the common language of commerce and ideas across the Eastern Mediterranean. Military infrastructure became a delivery system for everything, including new religions. All of this infrastructure wasn't built for spreading ideas, it was built for controlling territory. But it created unprecedented conditions for a new faith to spread. Consider the historical contingency. Had Jesus and Paul lived 500 years earlier, no unified empire, no safe travel, no common language. The Mediterranean was fragmented among competing powers. Travel meant risking pirates, bandits, and hostile borders. Had they lived 500 years later, the empire was fragmenting, roads deteriorating, the political landscape entirely different. Germanic tribes were carving up Roman territory. Christianity emerged in a specific window, the Pax Romana, when unified political structure, safe travel, Greek as a common language, and relative religious tolerance all aligned. The household structure that shaped Roman society would also shape early church organization. Christians met in homes. They used the language of family, brothers, sisters, fathers in the faith. The patron-client relationships that structured Roman society, structured early Christian communities. Caesar wanted to be patron of Rome. Augustus became father of an empire. Neither could have imagined that the infrastructure they built, roads for legions, cleared seas for grain ships, a common language for administration, would carry a message that would outlast Rome itself. The empire built for control became the delivery system for a faith that would transform it. Roman roads carried Roman soldiers. They also carried Paul. The Pax Romana kept the peace through military dominance. It also created the conditions for a different kind of kingdom to spread.